Do you feel like walking isn't as easy as it used to be? Does every step feel like a challenge after 70? What if I told you that moving less doesn't mean giving up on a strong, healthy life? In fact, some people have discovered that walking less, but doing the right things, can actually make them feel stronger than ever. Take Mrs. Eleanor, 75, for example. She used to love her morning walks, strolling through her neighborhood park every day. But lately those walks felt more exhausting than refreshing. Her legs ached, and she started avoiding movement altogether. At first, she feared she was losing her strength. But then, something surprising happened. Instead of forcing herself to walk long distances, she focused on 5 simple daily habits that changed everything. Now she moves with confidence, feels energized, and stays strong without exhausting herself. So what did she do differently? Let's find out. 1. Gentle strength training. Mr. Harold, a 78-year-old retired carpenter, had always relied on his strong hands and legs to build furniture, fix broken cabinets, and craft beautiful wooden pieces. But as he got older, he noticed something troubling. His legs felt weaker. Climbing stairs left him breathless, and even short walks to the store made his knees ache. At first, he thought he just needed to push through the discomfort. "Maybe I just need to walk more," he told himself. But the more he forced himself, the more exhausted he felt. One day his grandson visited and noticed him struggling to stand up from his chair. "Grandpa, why don't you try some chair exercises instead of long walks?" the boy suggested. Harold scoffed at the idea. How could sitting help him stay strong? But after doing some research, he decided to give it a try. He started with gentle leg lifts, slowly raising his feet while sitting. Then he moved on to seated marches, lifting his knees one at a time. He even used light ankle weights to build strength without straining his joints. At first, it felt too easy, but after just a few weeks, something incredible happened. His legs felt stronger than before. Standing up became effortless, and he no longer felt unsteady. He realized that movement doesn't always mean walking long distances. Sometimes it's about the right kind of movement that builds strength without exhaustion. Mr. Harold's story proves that staying active is not about pushing through pain, but about moving wisely. And that's exactly how he regained his confidence. One simple exercise at a time. 2. Stretching and balance exercises. Mrs. Linda, 72 years old, had always believed that daily walks were the key to staying strong. Every morning she would lace up her sneakers and head out for a stroll around her neighborhood. But as time went on, something changed. She started losing her balance. A slight misstep on an uneven sidewalk would make her wobble, and getting up too quickly sometimes left her dizzy. One afternoon, as she walked across her living room, her foot caught on a small rug. Before she knew it, she stumbled forward and nearly fell. Thankfully, she caught herself in time, but the scare left her shaken. Determined to find a solution, Linda spoke to her doctor, who surprised her with his advice. "Instead of focusing on long walks, let's work on your balance and flexibility first," he said. He recommended gentle stretching every morning to keep her muscles flexible and prevent stiffness. He also introduced her to simple balance exercises like standing on one foot while holding onto a chair or shifting her weight from side to side. At first, these movements seemed too small to make a difference, but she stuck with them. After just a month of consistency, Linda was amazed at the results. Not only did she feel more stable and confident, but even her back pain had eased. Walking no longer felt risky, and she could move around her home without fear. She realized that good balance isn't just about strong legs, it's about training the body to stay steady. And the best part? She didn't have to push herself through long, exhausting walks to feel this way. Linda's story is a reminder that sometimes slower, more intentional movements can be more powerful than pushing through discomfort. 3. Sitting with proper posture. Mr. George, 76 years old, had one favorite spot in his house, his old cozy recliner. Every afternoon, he would sink into it with a book or the TV remote in hand, enjoying hours of relaxation. But over time, he started noticing a problem. His legs felt stiff and weak whenever he got up. At first, he brushed it off, thinking it was just part of aging. But one day, after sitting for a long time, he tried to stand and felt his knees buckle slightly. That's when he realized something had to change. A friend of his, who was also a retired teacher, noticed George's struggle and gave him a simple tip. It's not just about sitting. It's about how you sit. Instead of slouching back in his recliner, his friend suggested that he sit upright, with his feet flat on the ground and his back straight. At first, George thought it wouldn't make much of a difference, but he decided to give it a try. He also added mini leg lifts while seated, raising his feet a few inches off the ground and holding them for a few seconds before lowering them. Surprisingly, within just a few weeks, his legs felt stronger. He no longer struggled to stand up, and the stiffness in his knees had almost disappeared. It was a simple change, but it made all the difference. George realized that posture isn't just about comfort. It's about keeping the body engaged, even while sitting. His story is proof that small adjustments can have a big impact, and that staying strong isn't just about movement, it's also about how we rest. 4. Foot and leg massages. Mrs. Agnes, 74 years old, had spent most of her life in her garden, tending to her flowers and vegetables with love and care. But in recent years, she noticed something troubling. Her legs often felt heavy, swollen, and tired. Even short walks to check on her plants became uncomfortable. She tried pushing through, hoping movement would help, but instead, she felt more exhausted. One evening, as she sat rubbing her aching feet, she wondered, was there another way to keep her legs feeling alive and strong? A friend suggested something surprisingly simple: daily foot and leg massages. Instead of forcing herself to walk through the discomfort, Agnes began gently massaging her feet every morning and evening. She used warm oil and slow circular motions to improve blood flow. She also started soaking her feet in warm water with Epsom salt, allowing the tension in her legs to melt away. At first, she wasn't sure if it would work, but after just a few weeks, she felt a remarkable difference. Her legs were no longer as swollen, and the aching almost disappeared. She felt lighter and more energized, even without walking as much as before. It was a reminder that taking care of circulation is just as important as movement. Mrs. Agnes learned that sometimes gentle care, not force, can bring the most relief. Her story proves that listening to your body and treating it with care can make all the difference in how you feel every day. 5. Mindful nutrition. Mr. Robert, 74 years old, had always started his day with a quick fix, a cup of coffee and a couple of slices of bread. For years, it was his routine, simple and familiar. However, he soon began noticing that his legs felt consistently tired, as if they were missing the fuel they needed to keep up with his daily routines. Despite his best efforts to stay active, he found that even a short walk left him feeling drained, and he started wondering if there was something more he could do to boost his energy levels without having to push himself too hard. After discussing his concerns with a nutritionist, Robert decided to give his diet a complete overhaul. He swapped out his usual coffee and bread for a breakfast rich in leafy greens, a variety of nuts, and quality protein sources. The change wasn't dramatic at first, just a few tweaks here and there. But over time, he began to notice a significant transformation. His mornings became brighter, his energy levels soared, and he no longer felt the same heavy fatigue that used to slow him down. Within just a few weeks, Mr. Robert experienced a surge of vitality that surprised him. He realized that by simply eating right, he could effectively replace the need for excessive movement and long, exhausting walks while still keeping his body strong and energized. His story is a testament to how mindful nutrition can power a more robust and balanced lifestyle, especially after 70, when every bit of energy counts. Conclusion: aging doesn't mean giving up on strength. It just means finding smarter ways to stay healthy. Like Mr. Harold, Mrs. Linda, Mr. George, Mrs. Agnes, and Mr. Robert, you don't have to force yourself into long, exhausting walks to keep your body strong. Gentle strength training, balance exercises, proper posture, massages, and mindful nutrition can do wonders for your health without overworking your legs. Now I have a question for you. Did you find these 5 habits helpful? If yes, comment 9 below. If you're not convinced yet, comment 0. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.